Hello and welcome to another video review, and today I'm reviewing Doom Eternal. Finally, as you know, it was pushed back from November of last year until March 20th, so for the past week I've been playing Doom Eternal. For this review I played the Xbox One version, specifically I played it on an Xbox One X. I also played it installed on a external SSD, so there's been a little bit of kerfuffle around this game in terms of its performance on the Xbox One, specifically with the Xbox One X. I've seen some I/O issues, at least Digital Foundry kind of brought this up. One thing I'm happy to say is that the I/O issue that was brought up in their video with the game installed internally to the stock drive appears to be an issue with the stock drive of the Xbox One. That issue was not present and did not manifest throughout my entire playthrough of this game. It ran at a rock solid 60 frames per second without any issues or any slowdown. Putting that aside, let's go ahead today and dive into Doom Eternal. So Doom 2016 was my game of the year for 2016. It's one of my favorite games of this decade and one of the best games of this console generation. And a follow-up to something that big, for me, has a lot of hype and a lot of potential, but also a lot of worry because I was very concerned, what are they going to do with Doom after this excellent 2016 reboot of this franchise? Are they going to continue to make an excellent franchise with another entry, or are they going to screw up the formula too much? And I'm happy to report that not only is Doom Eternal an excellent sequel to my 2016 game of the year, it's also just a fantastic example of a true sequel. I think id Software took everything that was right about Doom 2016 and they only improved it in this game, all the way down to even enemy design choices and how they look. Not to nitpick, but one thing I really disliked about Doom 2016 was how the regular mutated soldier looked. He just didn't look like the Doom designs from previous, and I'm happy to report here in Doom Eternal, he looks so much more like that classic design. That was just a little nitpick I had, and I'm glad that that's something they rectified here, but everything from the beginning all the way to the end of this game just feels so refined and so fresh, and it's just a telltale sign of a developer taking their time to make a proper sequel to a game, and it's a pitch-perfect sequel. I couldn't be happier with how Doom Eternal turned out. The story here follows basically the end of Doom 2016. At this point, Hell has been released on Earth, and it's up to you, the Doom Marine, to stop that. So you'll spend a good portion of the early hours of this game hunting down 3 Hell Priests in order to open a gate to go to a different realm. I don't want to go into the story of this game too much, but it deals with different realms. It also goes into the backstory of the actual Doom Marine that you play as, the Doom Slayer, in a really incredible way that, again, I don't want to spoil, but I was pleasantly surprised at where they took the story with this game and how they did some of the things that they did. I wasn't expecting them to dive into the backstory of the Doom Slayer in the way that they actually do in this game, and I think that's a really cool aspect of the story here. The easiest way I can compare Doom Eternal as a sequel is compare it as Evil Dead 2 to Army of Darkness. Army of Darkness was a lot more bombastic and a lot more grounded in its humor than Evil Dead 2. Evil Dead 2 was very slapstick, but this was, Army of Darkness was even more so, and I think the same can be applied to Doom Eternal. There's a lot of slapstick humor in the game when it comes to some of the glory kills in the game. A prime example would be when you're fighting the Cocodemon and you pull out the eyeball. It just makes that little suction noise, and it just, when you hear it, it's very comical almost, and they nail the humor that I expect from a Doom game pitch perfect here. They also present a lot of backstory with codex entries like they did in the previous Doom, and I think that's also essential here. But they also present a full-fledged story here through cutscenes. One of the things I was a little iffy on when the game first started, and it grew on me as I played through the game, is you see a lot more of the Doom Slayer's face in this game. Now, there's never actually a head-on shot of his face without his helmet on, but you see sides of it when his helmet are off. You see a pretty good outline of it with his helmet on in some cutscenes, and at first I was kind of down on this, and the more and more I played the game, the more and more I came to appreciate that. So they've taken the combat chess loop of Doom 2016 and evolved it in some smart ways here in Doom Eternal. One of the things is they added a flamethrower attack. So when you do the flamethrower attack by hitting the Y button, again, I played on the Xbox One. When you hit that button, what it does is it turns whatever demons are in front of you on fire, and then when you attack them, they shoot out armor, which you suck in. So that's how you get more armor. And then the chainsaw is a much bigger deal in this game. In the last game, you had to get a lot of fuel to even use the chainsaw, but it felt like such a secondary thing in Doom 2016. And here in Doom Eternal, it's a very pivotal part of the combat loop in this game. You get a lot more fuel, but you also regain the fuel by just killing in this game. And so you're doing that a lot throughout the game. You get into a loop of using the chainsaw or using your back grenade or using the flamethrower to kind of keep going. The biggest advice I can give you into Doom Eternal is always be moving. It's not a game where it's not a first-person shooter where you stop and you shoot. You have to constantly be moving. And with all this movement does come a lot more platforming than the previous Doom game. They've added a dash move into the loop here, so there's a lot more platforming in this game than maybe one would expect. But I also feel like the platforming is really well done. Like the developers at id knew exactly what game they were making, and they made this for fans of Doom. And I feel like if you were a fan of old school Doom, like the original Doom or Doom 2, you're going to have a blast playing Doom Eternal. The very first level is literally hell on earth, and it's fantastic. It's exactly what I wanted the beginning of a Doom sequel to 2016 game to be, and it's exactly what I wanted that to be. Another thing that's really important to note about Doom Eternal is how great this game actually looks. I was lucky enough to play it on a 60-inch screen with HDR, and this game looks stunning, even compared to the previous Doom 2016 game, which had a very large red tint throughout the entirety of the game because it took place on Mars. Here the environments are much more varied. You have a snow area, you have kind of a lush garden area, and so on. And the colors really pop in these different situations and different levels in a way that you just didn't see in the previous Doom game. And I think that's very important to note here too, that the animations and the design of each level is just so perfectly executed. It's really a stunning looking game, one of the best looking games I've played on any of these consoles at this point. If there's one complaint I have about Doom Eternal, in terms of everything, it would be that the game does seem like it opens up a little bit too much. That isn't to say that Doom Eternal is still, a linear game. It still is. It's not as linear as Doom 2016. They definitely tried to open it up. They give you kind of a hub area known as the Fortress of Doom, which is kind of where you hang out and you go back between missions. You can unlock different things there. You can also unlock different classic suits. You unlock different soundtracks. One of the cool things in this game is they actually added in here the original startup themes for Quake 3 Arena and Wolfenstein and some other id properties. I think that was a really cool addition. In fact, in terms of the gameplay and how fast it works now, one of the coolest things now is they add the abilities so that when you do a glory kill, it's almost like you go into a berserk mode where you're going faster and faster just for a little bit. So if you keep doing glory kills, you're going at an immense speed. And with all these different jump pads everywhere, it just reminded me so much of Quake in a way that I really would like id to now make a new Quake game. I would love a Quake 5 or something to bring Quake back, but this game had a really big Quake feel to it, and it really took me back when walking through the Fortress of Doom. I threw on the Quake 3 original intro song, and then it just kept playing on loop, and it really brought me back to a time of playing these first-person shooters on PC years and years and years ago. So that was a really cool thing that was implemented here. But in terms of complaints, I'm going to be in the very small minority here. I am someone who really enjoyed Doom 2016's multiplayer. I played a lot of it on the Xbox One version. It reminded me of old Quake, and I think that's why I gravitated towards it. I know a lot of critics dissed it and didn't like it, and that's why multiplayer here is different. They don't have a traditional multiplayer mode in Doom Eternal. Instead, it is a 2v1 mode, so you have one person plays as a Slayer, and then two other players can pick from a variety of the demon enemies, and then you kind of go at it. It seems pretty well balanced, a little bit of it that I've played. It's actually a really fun mode. I don't really have anything negative to say about that mode, other than I would have also preferred having the traditional deathmatch or team deathmatch in this game as well. But I understand why they kind of got away from that simply because of kind of the critical backlash from that mode from the previous game. Even though I liked it, it wasn't for everyone. And in terms of how this game ends, I'm not going to go into spoilers with this review. I kind of wanted to keep it a light review. I really enjoyed how it ended. It sets it up for basically they can go anywhere and do anything they want with Doom at this point. You know, they added some interesting abilities here. You now have a sword that you can use towards the end of this game. One of the other really cool new abilities is that they have a grappling hook that's attached to the shotgun. And so every time you use that grappling hook, it kind of brings you right into an enemy, and then you can just blast them. That adds into that combat chess loop that just feels so satisfying. And I think that was the thing I kept coming back throughout my 20+ hour playthrough of this game, is that every time I was in a combat scenario, it just felt incredibly satisfying. There wasn't really any parts of the game that I felt defeated or I felt frustrated with. There's one new enemy that I wasn't a huge fan of in the game. With that being said, that is the Marauder. He's a very big hulking dude that has an axe he throws. He also has a shotgun, but then to add to all that, he's kind of a bullshit character. He also has a panther, like a holographic panther that he can, you know, toss at you when his health is getting low. It adds to just a little bit of frustration. And I feel like in the beginning, until you kind of learn the loop there, he can be kind of a frustrating enemy to fight. But once you learn the loop with him, he becomes kind of a pushover. For Doom Eternal, it's a incredibly satisfying sequel. It's everything I wanted this sequel to be. It's a great game in 2020 to play right now, especially with everything that's going on in the world. It's a great game to kind of unplug and just forget about all that. For me, I'm giving the game an A+. I don't give A+s very often, but Doom Eternal is a game I've been waiting 4 years for, and I feel like it delivered on every aspect of what I wanted a sequel to Doom 2016 to be. I can't wait to see what this team does next with Doom. Got my fingers crossed that maybe they take a little bit of a break and they make a new Quake game, because I would love to see a return to Quake, not just a multiplayer return, but a full-scale Quake reboot. I think that would be really awesome, but A+ for me. I really don't have anything negative to say about it. At some point, I'm going to get it and play through it again on PC with the new PC I just built a couple, like maybe 2 months ago. And I want to see it again at 144 Hz, because I think that would be really something. Doom 2016 was really cool at 144 Hz, so I would love to see this game running on a high-end machine. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this quick video review on Doom Eternal. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And as always, until next time.